How's it going, guys? TFF back here with another video going through my week 3 predictions of the NFL season. Starting off with a Thursday night game, Panthers versus Texans. I'm going to take the Texans +8. I think that they'll end up losing the game without Tyrod Taylor, and Carolina has looked really good, but I do think the spread is a little bit high at +8. So I'll take the Houston Texans at +8, but expect the Carolina Panthers to win this game with relative ease. Next on the docket is Washington football team versus Buffalo Bills, which is a Sunday 1 p.m. game. The spread is plus 8.5 for the Washington football team, and I'll take that as well. I'll take Washington football team plus 8.5. I think the Bills will win this game by between 6 to 7 points. I don't see them beating them by more than 8.5, and for that reason, I think that you take Washington with the spread, but I do think that the Bills win this game. Chicago versus Cleveland. I'm taking Cleveland -7.5. I think that this is a pretty fair spread. I think the Browns are one of the best teams in the AFC, maybe the second best team in the AFC, and facing the Bears, who haven't looked very convincing. So I'm definitely taking the Cleveland Browns in this matchup -7.5. Baltimore versus Detroit, I'll take Baltimore -8. After the performance they had against Kansas City, I think that they're looking like a real powerhouse again, and the Lions' performance against the Packers was not very good. I'm taking the Ravens -8. Cardinals and Jaguars. I'm taking the Cardinals -7.5. Explosive offense against a Jacksonville team that just looks out of sorts. Offensively, not great. Defensively, pretty poor. And if Arizona's defense can play like it did in Week 1, I think that this can be a runaway game, and I'm definitely taking Arizona -7.5. Chargers and Chiefs. I'll take the Chiefs -6.5. I think it'll be a closely contested game, but I think eventually Mahomes will score a few touchdowns in succession, which Herbert can't match. And I definitely think that the Chiefs will win the game. 6.5 is a tough spread to call because the Chargers have been looking pretty decent, but I do think that the Chiefs will outscore them pretty handedly. Saints at Patriots. I'll take the Saints +2.5. I think that last week was a write-off. They looked miserable, and the first week was also the upper bound limit of the team. When they look at their best, that's how they'll perform. And I think they're somewhere in a happy medium. And I think that the Patriots in this happy medium space are not as good as the Saints. So I'll take the Saints +2.5. Falcons and Jaguars. I'll take the Falcons +2.5. I think that this is going to be a very, very close game. I think that the Falcons showed against the Buccaneers that they can still move the ball. The Giants have been looking good earlier this season. 2.5 seems low, but I think that this is just going to be a close game all the way out. Back and forth offense, and I think it's going to come down to a 1 or 2 point game in the end. Cincinnati Bengals versus Pittsburgh Steelers. I like the Bengals +3.5. I think their offense can definitely compete with the Pittsburgh Steelers, whose offense hasn't been looking too great. I like the way that Burrows plays when he has the freedom, and I definitely think they have the offensive weapons. I think it'll be a shootout, but I think Cincinnati will cover 3.5. But I do expect the Steelers to win. Colts and Titans. I'm taking the Titans -5.5. I don't like the way that the Colts look at all. And if Carson Wentz might be down, I don't really see a way that they produce much offense. I'm not a big fan of the Colts this season. I think that Tennessee, off that huge comeback win, is going to have all the momentum in the world, and I think that they're going to steamroll the Colts. Jets and Broncos, 10.5 point spread. I'll take the Broncos -10.5. I think they've looked excellent at the beginning of the season, and the Jets looked the exact opposite, really, really horrendous. And if Wilson has another terrible game, which is quite possible because the Denver defense is so good, I think that it's looking like a lot of trouble for the New York Jets. And I think the Broncos, because they look good, even with Jared Jeudy out, are going to cover the spread of 10.5 points. And, it's interesting to note that Bradley Chubb is going to be out possibly for a long period of time with orthoscopic surgery, so they won't have him. But I still think that the defense is strong enough to easily beat the Jets. Dolphins and Raiders. I'm going to take the Raiders -3.5. I think that they've looked phenomenal. If Derek Carr does play, that's the only caveat I'll put on this game. If Carr does play and is fully healthy, I do think that he's gonna lead the Las Vegas Raiders into a position where they are gonna win the game. I do think that the Raiders are the better team. Tua might be out as well, so I try and avoid this game betting wise because of the uncertainty in both quarterback positions. But I do think that the Raiders are going to win the game regardless. Bucks and Rams 1.5 point spread. I'll take the Buccaneers -1.5. It's basically a toss up, and I do see the Buccaneers winning this game because of their explosive offense. Although their passive defense hasn't looked that great, I think that the run defense is going to be pretty good. Darrell Henderson is banged up; he might not play, and I do think that the Buccaneers offense is strong enough to outshoot Los Angeles. This is really going to be a game where we see if Tom Brady is MVP caliber or if he was just beating up on teams who aren't that strong. So that's going to be an interesting storyline as well. Seattle, Minnesota. I'm taking Seattle minus 1.5. I can definitely see a way that Minnesota wins this game. Their offense has been looking quite good. Kirk Cousins has had a great start to the season. Same with Thielen, Cook, Justin Jefferson. They've all been looking good, but that defense does concern me. And Seattle can put up a lot of points in bunches. And if Wilson and Metcalf can get on the same page, it could be really, really bad for Minnesota defense, who hasn't looked too great in my opinion. So I do think Seattle's going to win the game and cover the 1.5 point spread. The Sunday nighter is the Green Bay Packers versus the 49ers. I will take the Packers +3. I think that the Packers are going to actually win this game and cover the spread. I think that what we saw against Detroit Lions on Monday was kind of what we should expect out of an offense that has Aaron Rodgers, Aaron Jones, and Davante Adams. Very efficient, very effective, scoring a lot of points. And I think that although 49ers defense has been looking good, I don't think that they'll be able to compete as well against a Green Bay Packers team that's firing at full offense like they did on Monday. Last game of the week is Philadelphia Eagles versus Dallas Cowboys. I'll take the Eagles +3.5. I'm a big believer in Jalen Hurts. I think what I saw last week, although he struggled, he had 2 touchdown passes called back. He looked good throwing the ball. He looked good running the ball. And overall, I think he's a solid quarterback. Eagles defense doesn't look good, but neither does the Cowboys. So I'm expecting a shootout in this game between the Cowboys and the Eagles. And I think that the Eagles cover the spread, but the Dallas Cowboys win the game. Thank you so much, TFFL. Like and subscribe.